I want to go back in time a little bit and talk about your origins because I know you went to teachers college, which is a very different vibe from what you're doing now. Can you take me back to that time and help me understand how you went from teachers college to the music world?
So I did the traditional thing, which is like going to university, like that's where we met at McMaster. And then after I went to U of T to do a bachelor in education, which was great and I loved, and I taught for a couple years. In that time, I was also in a car accident, so it kind of shifted. Well, it shifted my life and my perspective and everything because so I was living in Toronto. I was like excited to start, my young adult life. I had to move back with my parents because I had to learn to walk again and I had to relearn a lot of things cognitively. Um, it's as if my intelligence and everything and skills kind of went back to like a 6-year old and I had
Wow.
to, yeah, and I had to relearn a lot of things. It was quite challenging. And even today, it's been, I don't know how many years it's been. I'd have to calculate. It's been over 10 years of since the accident, but I still sometimes have the effects and I'm like, okay, I have to take care of myself or I have to sleep more or I have to, yeah. But I realized like life is too short and I don't want, like teaching was great. I like teaching. I just feel like the school system is a bit limiting. Um, and I wanted to do more with my life, and I'm still like, I have so much more I want to accomplish. So, one of the things I did to rehab my brain was learn to DJ. So, I, I had a lot of problems with sound. So, if two people were talking at the same time, or if there's like a distracting sound, it just bothers me. So, um, I figured if I could learn to mix two songs together, that could help me and my brain cognitively. So I started doing that. I loved it. I've always liked singing, dancing, all of that. So yeah, I naturally evolved into DJing, DJing for fun in my house to DJing at parties, bars, restaurants, weddings, corporate events, to large sporting events like the Raptors, the Blue Jays, and yeah, I love it. And it's my calling. I feel great. I feel aligned. I feel like it's, it takes all the like positive qualities and skills and aspects that I have and it channels it into like one thing that I feel really good about. So, yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I want to go back to so you had a car accident that caused a
Yeah.
traumatic injury
Mhm.
that affected your cognitive ability. So that's really scary. How did you feel at that time when that happened, and what gave you the motivation to, I guess, pull yourself out of that and rehabilitate yourself and pursue these creative pursuits?
What specific moment are you talking about? Because there are so many.
Right in the moment when you are recovered enough to realize that you have cognitive issues, that would be like a really tough moment for anyone. How did
Yeah.
you pull yourself out of that, like mentally, I guess, and just like pour yourself into music and DJing?
I mean, it really messes with your mind because it's like you know how you were before this. Like I knew, I mean, I got 2 university degrees. I before this I was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I was dancing. Like so physically I was doing a lot of cool things. Cognitively I was able to somehow balance like friends and relationship and all that beforehand. And then after I can barely function. So it really it messes with your mind. People say like don't compare yourself to others, but I also realize you can't compare yourself to your past self even because you're in a different place in different moments of your life. Um, it was tough, but I found one of the things that did really help me was like writing what I was grateful for every day. I felt like that was kind of my lifeline, even if it's like, oh, I'm so grateful that the sun is shining, or I'm grateful for my hands, or I'm grateful for whatever it is. I would just write it down as I was waking up, and that helped me. Um, And I was determined that this was not going to be my reality. Um, I did get discouraged sometimes, and I know 3 years into my recovery, I felt like I wasn't anywhere close to how I was before. And 3 years is a long time. And I was very discouraged. So I remember putting a message on Facebook like, please pray for me. I need your like prayers and things like that. Um, and yeah, then people who had been in car accidents reached out to me, and I got to speak to people who were in a similar situation than me. And I wish I had that earlier because I felt so alone and people around me didn't understand. Um, yeah, it, because it's not something like when the car accident just happened, I had like a huge gash on my face. I had scars. You could, like, I had aids to help walk and stuff. Like, I was in a wheelchair and then I had a walker and then a cane. So people can physically see that. But then when it's literally in your mind, people don't understand that. And it's really hard and it can be lonely. So I find finding people who had a similar experience to me was helpful. And yeah, the gratitude was like a lifeline to me. And just, I kept learning and trying to figure out ways to get out of it. I felt like doctors didn't have answers for me. So yeah, I started learning like positive psychology to try to get myself out of it. And yeah, it was a process. It was a process. It still is, but it's, if you're determined, I feel like you can get out of anything. And yeah, you just keep going and putting one foot in front of the other.
Well, congratulations on your recovery, and I commend you on the
Thanks.
mental fortitude that it takes to get through something like that. Because I think for a lot of people, it's so easy to invert into yourself when something out of your control happens, and the fact that you were able to channel that into something positive and use music as part of your recovery, and now look at you now with this great music career. And so I think that's a real indicator of like mental fortitude and strength, and so I commend you on that.
Thank you.